Salvati. Doobie-doobie-doo. 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 I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. Doobie-doobie-doo.
Hello, hello. Happy Monday, you guys. My lighting is a little dim for some reason. I don't know what's going on. I think I need to get another ring light. Hold on one second. Let me see. Make sure I got the right. Okay, yeah, I do have it right. All right, guys. Welcome to Sabby Sabs Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you are new, I want to let you know that Sabby Sabs Podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Thursdays for the Roundtable and Friday for the Sabby Show. And you can catch me here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I want to give a big shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, and Twitter. Want to give some shout outs to people in the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and get into it. I do have 3 people coming on tonight. The Bank Sisters will be here, and so will Kim Brown to discuss this whole issue with Will Smith and Chris Rock. So I want you to hear different perspectives. So I think this should be an interesting discussion. Shout out to CBC Voter says, remember, in case we forget, ignore anything that actors should be forgotten. Just ignore whatever they said. We have bigger issues like free medical coverage, housing, and cannabis, etc. Well said, CBC Voter. Shout out to NZ Fade says, breaking points with Sagar and Crystal. Crystal take, it's just a slap. I guess she's okay with violence. I.e., if a man hit a woman, well, it's just a slap. Unbelievable. Yikes. No comment to that. Shout out to Marcin says, I'll be here. What's going on, Saul says, oh, can't wait for the comments. Shout out to Hannah G says, Sabby time, good vibes. What's going on, Lawrence Johnson, who's a Sabby member, says, slap that like button. Yes, guys, hit the like button. That helps me with the algorithm. Shout out to Gamer and Ganja for Life says hello. Shout out to Eric, who's a Sabby member, says, hi, lefty friends. What's going on? Terry Conley says, hello, RBN fam. Shout out to Kinshi Jones says, Sabby love. Hey, my dear. What's going on? Yipper99 says, every channel is talking about the slap, including Jimmy Dore. I know we all are, right? What's going on? Notori Lee, Punch Up, and plenty of hearts. Shout out to Janice says, hi, everyone. What's going on, Janice? What's up with you? All right. I want to give a shout out to everyone who is a Sabby patron. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate your support. If you want to become a patron, I have 4 categories: members, Sabbies, Sabsters, and the ultimate. Their names are all listed here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. And you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So, what are we talking about tonight, ladies and gentlemen? This should be an interesting night. Oh, buddy. Tonight, we're talking about Will Smith slaps Chris Rock. Oh, the slap heard around the world, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. We've got a lot to say. We're also going to talk about Penn Simps for Zelensky, and we're going to talk about Applebees busted. What is this about a boycott, and what did Applebees do? So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the Penn story. And for those of you who just joined, Bank Sisters and Kim Brown will be here at 7:30 to talk about the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap around the world. So it should be an interesting discussion. So, Penn is one of the celebrities that has come out, has really come out. He was on CNN, other different, media networks as well, talking about Zelensky and talking about how he would feel if he was not allowed to make an appearance at the Academy Awards. Now, I have to ask myself, I don't really see why he needs to make an appearance at the Academy Awards per se. But listen to this. I want you to hear what Penn had to say about this ordeal in particular. Now, he is one of the many that is also raising money for Ukraine. I'm going to go ahead and start right here at about 4 minutes. So here we go.
Witness, and certainly that I ever have. An incredibly moving human being in this minute of time we're all sharing.
And have you had a chance to speak with him since your meeting?
Yes.
And how did that go? How was that?
You know, all I'll say, I'll just for the moment echo that aspect of it. It continues. And I don't know the consensus with the documentary team I'm with. If I had something that I thought was more valuable to tell you, for the greater problem right now, I would. But right now, I'm going to kind of, refrain.
I totally understand. And as you know, Sean, the Oscars are tomorrow night. Do you want to see President Zelensky speak at the Oscars via some sort of video link? And how do you think the ceremony, how the event should recognize what is happening in Ukraine? What would you say, I guess, if you were there up on stage?
I do want to pause here for a second and just chime in. It's really interesting to me that they want Hollywood to pay so much attention to what's happening to people in Ukraine, because I don't see them asking Hollywood to pay attention to what's happening to people in Somalia, what's happened to kids in Yemen, and what's happening to kids in Afghanistan. I don't see them asking celebrities to pay attention to that. It's almost as if they're pretending like it's not even happening. But when it comes to people in Europe, we have to pay attention. Not only do we have to pay attention, we need to give them money. And Sean Penn, like I mentioned earlier, is one of the celebrities that is raising money for people in Ukraine. Now, this is not to say that they should not get some type of assistance. If celebrities do want to raise money for them, that's their right to do that. But I just find it interesting that they're not willing to raise money for people that are in all these other countries abroad that the United States has pretty much destroyed at this point. Those people are suffering as well. I mentioned this before to you on Friday, that all of a sudden we have room in this country to bring in 100,000 people from Ukraine, and we're headed into a food shortage. But when it was time to bring in refugees from Syria, they said, no, we can't do it. When Haitian refugees came here last year, they were met at the border. No, we cannot let them in. You don't see them trying to bring in refugees from Yemen. You don't see them trying to bring in refugees from Afghanistan. And where is all the attention for that? And this is how I was able to tell that when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to the entertainment business, they are just as much corrupt and attached to mainstream media as the United States government. All three of these groups work together. They get celebrities to use these liberal talking points, to use these right-wing talking points. It's not as often that you hear from celebrities that are like, yeah, I'm a socialist, let's do the damn thing. They get celebrities to do their bidding for them because they know that Americans, we follow pop culture and we're more likely to follow celebrities. That's actually pretty smart, by the way. So even if you're not paying attention to mainstream media and you're one of those people that has tuned out from it and you say to yourself, I know it's BS, I'm not going to watch mainstream media, they still have a way to get your attention by using celebrities to use the same talking points that CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News use. Now listen to what Sean Penn is going to say about what would happen if Zelensky is not given the opportunity to speak at the Academy Awards.
I'm glad you asked that question because, there are those, and I think it sometimes has validity, who would say that, politics are for another place, entertainment is for another. I believe that anyone, as an audience or a practitioner of film, that understands what that expression is, that to restrict it to just film is to say it can't be on television, it can't be on the stage. To restrict it to any of those is to say it can't be embodied within a human being, that kind of nature of poetic courage and expression that film aspires at its best to be. There is nothing greater that the Academy Awards could do than to give him that opportunity to talk to all of us. And by the way, this is a man who understands movies and had his own very long and successful career in that. Now, it is my understanding that a decision has been made not to do it. That is not me commenting on whether or not President Zelensky had wanted to. If the Academy has elected not to do it, if presenters have elected not to pursue the leadership in Ukraine who are taking bullets and bombs for us, along with the Ukrainian children that they are trying to protect, then I think every single one of those people and every bit of that decision will have been the most obscene moment in all of Hollywood history. And I hope that's not what's happening. If it turns out to be what's happening, I would encourage everyone involved to know that though it may be their moment, and I understand that, to celebrate their films, it is so much more importantly their moment to shine and to protest and to boycott that Academy Awards. And I myself, if it comes back to it, when I return, I will smelt mine in public. I pray that's not what's happened. I pray there have not been arrogant people who consider themselves representatives of the greater good in my industry that have not decided to check in with leadership in Ukraine. So I'm just going to hope that that's not what's happened, and I hope that everybody walks out if it is.
Okay, I have to chime in here because this is why this is a BS statement. So Sean Penn thinks that people should boycott the Academy Awards, which happened last night, by the way. We're going to get into more about that in a couple of minutes. That they should boycott the Academy Awards. He's not given the opportunity to speak. So I want to ask you a question. Where was the call to boycott the Academy Awards from Sean Penn against Mel Gibson? Where was the call to boycott the Academy Awards against Roman Polanski? Where was the call to boycott the Academy Awards against Harvey Weinstein? See, this is why you can't. Blue Moon said I'm boycotting Sean Penn. See, this is why I keep telling you to not look towards celebrities for movements, protests, boycotts, because they seem to pick issues that are already popular, and then they'll jump on board and say, yes, we need to boycott this. We need to go along with this and fight and stand with Ukraine. This is what they tend to do if you pay attention. But very seldom will they take an issue that is not popular and then say, let's boycott. So much outrage from Sean Penn, who for a long time I thought was pretty good on the issues. As time has gone by, I realized that Sean Penn is more so a neoliberal. I used to think he was a little bit more risky and willing to take a risk. I was wrong. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these celebrities just want to protect their wealth. And I just question that. I told you guys I've had problems with this whole conflict with Ukraine and Russia for quite some time. Because again, mainstream media and Hollywood are making it seem like Ukraine has done absolutely nothing wrong. The fact that I'm hearing people who are supposed to be leftists out here defending a Nazi battalion is very problematic to me. Hearing people like Sam Cedar say, well, yeah, they're Nazis, but, it's a little bit different. No, Sam, it's not different. Nazis are Nazis, period. And to hear them just take these same talking points from mainstream media because that's what fits the narrative, because that's apparently what tends to be working for their audience, which I would question their audience. That's a problem. And anyone on the left really needs to call that out. The problem is not just the fact of the Nazi battalion in the Ukraine. The problem is also the way that they have been treating people of color in Ukraine. And I want to show you something that came out recently. Now, someone pointed my attention to this. I should not be surprised, but let me go ahead and get to this spot about volunteers in Ukraine. And this is something I wanted to show you guys because I haven't seen too many people talk about this. And so if I have to be that one, I'm going to be that one. So here we go. The Peace Corps. Make this a little bit larger for you. The Peace Corps actually has on their website information about volunteers in Ukraine. Now I'm going to scroll down here all the way down. Where did it go? Hold on. Here we go. All right, let me start with this part so you can see where this is coming from. Diversity and inclusion. The Peace Corps seeks to reflect the rich diversity of the U.S. and further bring diverse perspectives and solutions to development issues in the countries we serve. Now it gets to the part where they're talking about Ukraine. Peace Corps Ukraine prioritizes the safety and security for all volunteers at all times in all situations. But in particular, even the Peace Corps was smart enough to point out some of the problems that you may face as a volunteer in Ukraine, as an African American. Listen to this. Possible considerations for African American or Black volunteers. Volunteer voices, people of color. People of color face many challenges living in Ukraine as a Peace Corps volunteer. Again, this is coming from the Peace Corps. However, African Americans will confront far more complicated issues. For modern parts of Ukraine, African Americans are part of the community and day-to-day life. However, there are many Ukrainians who have never seen a Black person before. Their understanding, make this a little bit larger, sorry. Skipped my spot here. Their understanding of African American culture is fueled by the media and African stereotypes. You will generate lots of interest and curious stares. This is important. So these stares can make you uncomfortable and annoyed. Ukrainians' initial perception of you may be that you are from Africa. It may not. It does not help if they understand that you are an American. And the training in PST will help you consider ways that you will engage with these assumptions. Here goes the tough part, ladies and gentlemen. It is not uncommon for Ukrainians to refer to African Americans as the N-word. Volunteers of color may be called a monkey or may see children's games with blackface. Now, just putting this out here again, this is not coming from me. This is not my opinion. I have never been to Ukraine. This is coming from the Peace Corps, and they are trying to prepare Black people who may want to volunteer in Ukraine to help Ukrainians. Even the Peace Corps is giving you a heads up. Being aware of the history of dehumanization for people of African descent may help inform where this comes from. It does not justify it. It will be at your discretion to determine the intent. No matter the intent, staff recognizes the impact that hearing that word may invoke hurt and anger. If you view it as unlearned, something the person has never been exposed to, it may be an opportunity for you to educate that person. We are here to support your successful service. Okay. And these comments and images can be a huge distraction and obstacle to you. Know that Peace Corps staff is here to support and encourage you. Do not hesitate to remove yourself from such situations. You are not expected to be subjected to such treatment. You can also find support and understand from other African American Peace Corps volunteers serving in Ukraine. Let me pop out for just a second because there's more to this website. What does that tell you? What does that say to you if the Peace Corps is already letting you know what you are going to encounter as a Black person? There's more on this website about as a person of color in general. What you may encounter if you go there. What does that tell you about the environment? Now, I just explained to you that we have mainstream media, we have celebrities, we have some people who consider themselves to be left-wing commentators on TV, on YouTube, making excuses for a Nazi battalion. You literally have the same people who were saying that we need to have equal rights for everyone just a couple years ago during Bernie's campaign. The same people who were saying everyone needs to have health care. The same people who were telling you, some of them saying, yes, Black people should have reparations. The same people who were telling you, yes, public school needs to be free. Everybody needs a shot. Some of those same people are now making excuses for Nazis in Ukraine. Some of them have told you, oh, it's just a very tiny percentage of the population. Don't worry about it. But here we have the Peace Corps. This is on their website. Eric, can you put that link in the chat so people can see this themselves too if they want to? We have the Peace Corps telling you theirself. This is public information, by the way. What you will encounter if you go there. I can't make this stuff up. I can't make it up. Now I'll scroll up in this article as well. Let me just slide to the back. There's more. There's more. Possible considerations for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, ally, asexual volunteers. Let's go down. While sex acts are not criminalized, the Ukrainian LGBT community faces discrimination and civil rights abuses related to sexual orientation. Ukrainian society generally views being gay, lesbian, or bisexual as abnormal. While networks of gays and lesbians have formed in some of the larger cities, LGBTQ life is hidden from the public and kept very discreet. It goes on. It goes on. Listen to this. Volunteer voices. Transgender volunteers are recommended to not disclose their gender identity to host country nationals and inform only the country director and Peace Corps medical officer among the Peace Corps staff. So if you're LGBTQ, they're letting you know you might want to hide who you really are. What is happening here? So do I expect every country to be the way that the United States is? No, I don't. But this is to prove a point for the people in media who are pretending like everyone there is innocent and it's Russia that's bad. They're the bad people. And I told you from the beginning, there is no good side on this. All three, the United States, Ukraine, and Russia, are all at fault. All of them. So to hear people on mainstream media, to hear these celebrities pretend like everybody in Ukraine are these angels and Russians are evil, it's laughable to me. If you pay attention to the talking points, they're really trying to get you to despise people from Russia. I've noticed it. They don't even want you to hear Russian media. RT is gone. Why is that? There's one more part I want to point out here. Let me go back in. Going further up to the top. And by the way, guys, when you have free time, definitely check out this site because I was like, what? All right, now this is just volunteers of, gender role. It will be important to absorb and understand the cultural nuances of gender roles in your host country. Gender roles in Ukraine can be difficult to understand and accept. Although men and women may receive equal pay for equal work, women are underrepresented in positions of power and often are not promoted as readily as men. These disparities and difference in treatment based on gender can present problems for volunteers in job situations. Let's go down to possible considerations for volunteers of color. Here we go. Racial and ethnic minorities in Ukraine, primarily Poles, Hungarians, Crimean Tatars, I hope I said that the right way. Greeks make up about 5% of the total population. Most Ukrainians have not had personal interactions with people of other races. This is important for people to know. They often assume that African American or Asian American volunteers are university students from Africa or Asia rather than Americans. Thus, these volunteers may be stopped to show identification papers more frequently than other volunteers, particularly in larger cities where they are not known. On its website, the U.S. State Department now warns prospective travelers to Ukraine of hate crimes directed at ethnic minorities. In addition, a number of international human rights groups have exposed concern with the rise in hate crimes and xenophobic activity in big cities in Ukraine. This is from a volunteer. A majority of the time, people view me with curiosity. Most people I work with love to ask me about my ancestry. They are polite and respectful. Occasionally, I'm mistaken for an Arab or African refugee, and I hear some people shouting. Most Ukrainians are embarrassed by this behavior, and I've never felt scared for my physical safety. Sharing information about my cultural background as an American of Indian descent has been a wonderful and positive experience for me in the 9 months I've lived in Ukraine. And you notice this is coming from someone who's an American of Indian descent. But you notice the volunteers' experience that I read to you from African Americans was not this way. So when people tell you that it's just a small percentage of Nazis in Ukraine and it's just the people that are associated with that battalion, I just want to remind you of what is on the Peace Corps' website. And all of you should check that out. That is a problem. That's a big problem. So after reading that to you, if you are African American and you are a Peace Corps volunteer, would you feel comfortable and safe going to Ukraine to volunteer after what I just read for you, which is on their own website? I sure wouldn't. Thanks so much. Dead People's Things. The Russian military views killing women, children, and old men in their homes, churches, apartments, hospitals, and daycare centers are legitimate military targets, just as the Nazis did in World War II. Thank you so much for that. These are things you guys need to hear this information. I'm not hearing people talk about this. Maybe more will follow. I don't know. But right now, I'm not hearing people talk about this. And by the way, this was on Twitter as well. It's kind of going around. Sebastian says worthy versus unworthy victims. Worthy victims, white people. Unworthy victims, black and brown people. There you go. There you go. Super Patriot said, Sabby, if an African American goes to Ukraine, God help them. SM Dahlman said, that's a hard pass. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Not feeling it. All right. All right. I see our guests are here. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, Eric, what happened to the... I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Go ahead and put up the comments from Rockfin first. I'll do those. All right. Thanks so much, Quaker Anarchist, for the comment on Rockfin. I'm a returned PC volunteer. The purpose of the Peace Corps is to manipulate countries. Countries are forced to take PCVs if the country takes money from the United States. The U.S. Aid, Peace Corps, and other aid organizations make serious money for the U.S. My professor said for every $1 we put in, we get 3 back. In the Peace Corps in Nepal, we were taught all the Nepali racist slurs used for Black people and also racial slurs called for all the different caste, religions, and local countries. Not all the slurs, but I mean that there is one slur for each group of people, including slurs for Black people, white people, Indian people. This is common. These countries have leftists who are anti-American. They have racism. They have hate. It isn't just Ukraine. Peace Corps has this in every country. We were suggested to say American women don't menstruate because women's menstruation rules their ability to enter kitchens, etc. I only learned about the slurs because my future husband was teaching an elderly Black American woman who is a volunteer. He was talking to her, so we all had a deep conversation on this. I don't know if anyone else learned all the slurs. Thank you so much for that, Quaker Socialist. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Bank Sisters and burn it down with Kim Brown.
Hey, what up, Kim?
Hi, Sabby. DMV is well represented. Sabby too.
Right.
Sabby too is DMV by extension.
I know, right? I know it's been a while since I've been. I still have to go back and visit. It's been a minute since the pandemic. But I want to go ahead and introduce, guys, if you're new and you have not met them, the Bank Sisters, Courtney and Keisha. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Oh, hey, what's up? We're the Bank Sisters. I'm Courtney. I'm Keisha. We make videos and talk about current events and such. That's it.
Kim?
It's plenty. I'm Kim Brown. I host Burn It Down with Kim Brown, and that's what I do. Also, I talk about politics and cultural things, always centering the perspective of Black women and marginalized people and workers. So I'm very excited to be here with you tonight, Sabby and the Bank Sisters. Yeah.
Good to see you.
All right. So I'm going into our second story, which is about, of course, the slap heard around the world last night between Will Smith and Chris Rock. I'm going to go ahead and play that video for you for those of you who have not seen this by now, but also provide a little bit of background context to this that I think some people are not aware of. So let me go ahead and play the video first. Hopefully there is not an ad, but it says Will Smith and Chris Rock have a history that predates the Oscar slap. But let's go ahead and play this.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
ウィル・スミスにやられました。
Wow, dude. It was a G.I. Jane joke.
G.I. Jane のジョークだったんで。
I'm going to, okay? Okay.
Now, I don't know if everyone saw what happened right there in the beginning, but I do want to pause because I want you to see the expression really quick.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
Right there. That expression from Jada, as you can tell, she does not look very happy about that joke. Will Smith is actually laughing at this point. So yep. I do want to come out here and I want to open this up to the panel.
Listen, we talked about this. We talked about this in many, many, many levels today on our live stream because I feel like there's so many layers you can put to this. But I have to say, when I originally saw it and I saw Jada roll her eyes, I thought that was like the bit. like I thought, oh, that's part of the joke. And then when he got up, I also thought that was part of the joke. And then it wasn't. I think the craziest thing, like Keisha and I were talking about, and she pointed this out, but how long it took for him to walk up there, and he still decided to hit this man. Like that was that's wild.
I think it took him it was like 6 or 7 seconds that it took him to walk up there. It took him a while. Oh man, what a crazy. The thing that they talk about, the backstory too, I think is very interesting, because if he's been holding on to it for this long,
from 2016, right? I mean, and like it's not like I'm the type of person who's to say like violence is not correct in any situation. Like I don't think that that's my issue, obviously, with like civility politics and all of this. Like it gets us to this point where we can't even actually talk about anything or have anything actually change because we're all tiptoeing around each other. But I do just hate that this happened in front of a bunch of white people. That's just one. I'm just like, dang, y'all, like, oh, I don't know. So I don't know. I want to hear what Kim has to say.
Well, so I didn't take too much from Will laughing, to be honest, because Will obviously knows that he's on camera at that point. I mean, not to say that he cared about that 10 seconds later, but I when you're put in some of those sort of awkward situations, like I think people are expected to just laugh, just go along, ha ha ha, even if the joke isn't funny. Now, clearly Jada did not find it all that funny, but at the same time, it's not unheard of for people to laugh before they get upset and go punch somebody in the face. I mean, that could have been his defense mechanism reaction. Like I don't interpret too much from him laughing, because I think a laugh or even a smile can beguile a myriad of things under the surface. So I want to hear more about the backstory, because I understand that there is quite an extensive, back and forth between Chris Rock and Will Smith and Jada specifically. And at the same time, like this is an I-95 kind of issue, right? Because Chris Rock is from New York and Jada's from Baltimore, Will is from Philly, okay? And, I-95 people get down a certain way. And I felt as though Baltimore and Philly just came on out. And me personally, I didn't have a problem with it. Like it being in front of white people to me was inconsequential. Like the biggest thing that excited me about it is that Will Smith came across to me as an ableist Avenger. You know what I mean? Like it is so seldom that people who are dealing with, any kind of health condition or disability, like a lot of ableist shit is allowed to fly a lot of times unchecked. And the fact that Will Smith checked that ableist shit, whether or not he even was intentionally doing it to check ableist shit, to me is why I rather enjoyed the slap.
Now, okay, Kim, I did watch see some of your tweets, and I feel like I learned a lot from that perspective, because I didn't even take it that way. But I guess for me, like not knowing, I did not even know she had alopecia. I guess I didn't even think of it from that perspective, because I've always thought of Jada as rocking the short style. So like that didn't even come into my mind at first.
Yeah. Right. A lot of people didn't know that. For people who don't know, Jada Pinkett does have alopecia. Apparently, she also has like an autoimmune diseases as well. I think that's where the anger came from. But again, going to the backstory, they have a history together. This isn't the first time that Chris Rock, I guess, has made some comments about Jada that Will didn't like. But this kind of opened up another question. And I'm seeing people on Twitter. Some people are like, yeah, I'm on Team Will. And some people are like, I'm Team Chris. And I don't want people to be split over this in the sense that they're trying to I don't want to say like fall into the celebrity culture of where they're trying to like glorify these celebrities. Because at the end of the day, both Chris Rock and Will Smith are rich and they're going to be fine at the end of all of this. And I just want to make that very clear to people. But what the question that it brought to me is censorship. And I've never been a comedian. Trying to do that would be laughable in itself. But for people that have done comedy, where do you draw the line? Because like when I'm like anti-censorship, like I don't like people can say whatever they want. I may not necessarily agree with it, but where do you draw the line when it comes to censorship? Like, is it okay for comedians to say whatever they want?
I mean, listen,
Sticky,
I did
yeah.
stand up for, several years, like at the Comedy Store where the roast battle was born, with Jeff Ross, which is interesting. Jeff Ross also has alopecia, I guess. I didn't realize that's why he was bald. So he was saying that lots of people make fun of him. I had no idea. I have often called him a mole rat in a nice way, in a loving way. But like, I guess the thing about, I think it's kind of like two things meeting. Like, I think that comedians have to bring that edge back and you have to be willing to go there and say those jokes. And then it's almost like that to me just reminded me of like real actors, like why we really like American actors, because they're usually have more emotion. They're more themselves. Like we used to see a lot more, I feel like, of this kind of people like kind of like going outside of the bounds or things that you wouldn't necessarily want to see and replayed. Like we haven't really seen something like this, somebody losing control like this, whereas I feel like we used to see that more. So maybe comedians do need that little bit of pressure. The joke better be good then, because there are a lot of lazy jokes. If you think somebody might hit you on the other end, your joke might get a little tighter. So, I mean, that's just the reality though. I think the comedians should be allowed to say the jokes. And they shouldn't fear, obviously, for like being hit every time. But maybe if you do feel that pressure of like, listen, if it's a fucked up joke, there might be a consequence. It might make the jokes better. So,
gosh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess I am concerned though. That we won't. It's a sticky situation because it's like. It honestly, it wasn't, if it would have been a better joke too, that was part of it. It was like an okay joke. Even my mom was like, wasn't even that good of a joke. So, I mean, yeah, I like this idea of like, if you're going to make fun of someone and it's going to be stinging like that, it better be freaking worth it, because otherwise, I don't know. I'm so like, hello to Big Teal. My brain is like so racked from talking about this earlier. I can't even like put my thoughts together. So give me a minute. Go ahead, Kim.
So I don't think it's that. I don't look at it really as a censorship issue, because I still feel as though comedians will use their platform and their stage to say and do what they wish. But I believe now we're coming to a point of hopefully some sort of humane reconciliation where some of these jokes are getting collected and letting people know that, it's not funny, right? If you think about some of the jokes that used to fly regularly in the 20th century, your mama so black, your mama so fat, your wife so bald-headed, like that shit is not funny no more. Like people don't laugh at that. And I think the only reason they did was a sort of uniform social uncomfortability, you know what I mean? Like, ha ha ha, it's just laughing to sort of go along with the room, so to speak. But people don't laugh at those kinds of jokes anymore. And I think that if you are focusing a joke that highlights intentionally or otherwise, basically the symptom of someone's health condition that they have publicly spoken about, then you are a shitty comedian. Like you're not clever, you're not witty. Like there's nothing cute to me or funny about highlighting or zeroing in specifically on someone's disability, an immutable thing.
Something but Kim, you don't think like there are any jokes you can make about cancer. I've seen people who have cancer who have made very funny jokes.
Cancer.
Sure, but I've also seen people roast them. I've seen people like, I just feel like it's not always done from a place of intention coming from a negative place. And I also think sometimes that the comedy, what we're talking about is hopefully this will elevate people's jokes. But I do feel like I've seen people make a joke to almost elevate, like bring them more into the fold, but also like make people think about something from a different way. Like sometimes you can't necessarily tell somebody what somebody's going through, but they'll get it through comedy. Like I just feel like sometimes there are other ways to get people.
But how far back was Chris Rock reaching with G.I. Jane? I'm like,
that was a lame joke, right? That's the point. The joke was bad. The joke was not good.
Definitely, the comedians have to step their game up for sure. They need much better writers. I mean, Malia Obama is a writer now, guys, so probably everything's gonna be fine.
If you guys can go back and watch Eddie Murphy's Raw, which I think a lot of people will argue is a classic. Like he has a whole segment where he is mocking gay people, and that you like though I think it's good that some of this shit goes away, because I hope that we evolve from being like a spirited sort of place. Like I think comedy can be way smarter than that. Like I think it just takes a little bit more thought and a little bit more effort. But to crack on people's, again, if he'd have said something about Jada's dress or about entanglement or anything like that, like to me, all of that was fair game. But to crack
okay, so did you think the entanglement is fair game? Because our mom said this earlier, but she thought that what Regina Hall said earlier, when she made the joke about, oh, Will, you come up on stage because Jada said it's okay, like that was a bit more a bit more like right in your face about it. I mean, that to me, I would be more scared to make that joke, because that was like right on the nose.
I look at that a little different, because I feel as though them being very open and disclosing the terms of the relationship has made that open to people's interpretation, right? Like on every sort of entertainment show, when the Will and Jada and the entanglement stuff was hot, like people were freely discussing this, and Will was himself feeding into it by making additional comments. I think talking about the symptom of someone's actual health condition is a little bit different. You know what I mean? Because again, that's what can she do? You want her to grow some hair? Like, I mean, like she has something that causes her hair not to grow. And that's why she keeps that short style, which I think Jada's been rocking that shit flawlessly.
Right,
but at the same time, Chris Rock knew what he was doing. And not to mention, y'all, come on, Chris Rock is the creator, the producer of Good Hair, a documentary.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that too. I mean,
and he's going to take that platform to crack on a black woman's hair.
I guess I didn't think of it as crapping on her hair. Her hair was short. It was a bad joke about G.I. Joe, because the only other woman who's played G.I. Joe is Demi Moore, who is also hot, super hot. I was just like to me, it was like an old dad joke in a way. Like, let's not forget, Chris Rock is also the person who has released Tambourine, which is a special about realizing he had to show up to his marriage. I mean, maybe,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Like also sometimes these comedians get old too, and like like it was and what we're seeing, I think, is them resting on these laurels of these old lazy jokes that a lot of people used to. But I mean, and to be honest, so like when I used to do roast battle, I stopped doing it because it was so formulaic. Like I would have sit down meetings with comics, right? And they'd talk to me like, oh, okay, like you have 2 kids, but you left your kids. I would do a joke specifically about like leaving your kids, right? And I would talk to them about very specific stuff in my life. Didn't matter. They would just do a blanket joke about being a slut because I'm a woman. So it was like, and those jokes always hit because it was formulaic. So to me, it got old. So I think it's also what we're saying. Like a lot of the audience has gotten tired of it, gotten smarter than it. And so like to me, when I even heard it, I was like, what a dumb joke. Like somebody wrote that for him, or he wrote it.
I think he wrote it. I think Chris Rock wrote it because he would have had to write it that same day. Like he would have had to see what she was wearing, you know what I mean, to know what her hair was going to be like. So I think he wrote it himself, and he thought he was like, I got one, I got it, you know. And I think he thought it was really going to land.
So Colin said, and thanks for the super chat, Colin. He said the problem is it sets a bad example of giving people the authority to slap a comedian if a person gets offended by a joke. So do you think like Will's reaction, do you think that was warranted? Because I think that was the thing for me. I was just like, okay, like I understand he was upset, but I didn't feel like I would not walk up on stage and just slap Chris Rock. I felt like they could have handled that off stage. But I felt like, again, the look that Jada gave Will, because he was laughing at first. And it's like she gave him that look. And I felt like that's what prompted him to act.
I 100% agree. I felt like she did a Jedi mind trick on him. And she was like, she looked at him and was like, are you going to let this stand? And he was like, absolutely not. I will take care of this right now.
I agree with Kim that because I uncomfortably laugh a lot at first sometimes, you know, like you're like, oh, and then, or sometimes it takes you a second, like, oh shit. Right,
no, but I'm saying, I still don't think he would have. I think he would have gone and consoled her. He would have done something. Maybe he even would have yelled. You know what I'm saying? But something happened where he was like, I better get on board and defend this woman right now. Like, I don't know.
See, I think that something happened a while ago. And for Will to get up and be on that stage in less than 10 seconds, like slapping him like Pepe Le Pew or something like that with an open hand. Like, can we please pay some homage to the open hand slap?
Oh, of course.
My goodness, it was a thing of beauty. But like, what I have a feeling that because of the speed of which Will got up there, Will had told Chris Rock in the past, you say something else slick about my wife, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. And I think Will was just upholding that promise.
Right. You have to live up to that.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, this was his last straw.
Yeah.
That could be.
Tiffany Haddish did say in when she was quoted that they were friends and he knew not to, like, they had talked about it. I think that's what she said. So yeah, I mean, that there was definitely something more personal going on there, you know, like that was a slap with somebody like that, you know.
I guess the thing is like, is it okay? Or let me see how I want to say this. Some people feel, or some people have made comments saying that Will and Jada kind of open people up to their personal life by doing that show, The Red Table Talk, and introducing the public to marital affairs that they've had like in their life, this whole entanglement thing or whatever. Like, I felt like that's something they should have kept to themselves. But do you feel that because they sort of invited the public into their personal life, some people are saying like they don't understand why Will is so angered and upset about this, but he was totally okay with Jada Pinkett going on television and telling everybody that she was falling in love with another man in this whole entanglement situation?
Well, let me put it to you that like this: if Jada was a cancer patient and Chris Rock made that same joke, like would people have a better understanding of it? You know what I mean? Like, I feel because a lot of people don't know what alopecia is, they misunderstand it and or have not paid close attention to Jada when she has talked about this. They don't understand that this is a symptom of a health condition that she is dealing with. Again, like I am of the belief that your physical disabilities should be off limits to comedians unless said person is joking themselves and their own disability. Like, I am a big opponent to a hashtag that is very popular at times. It flares up from time to time, but it is the hashtag Stevie Ain't Blind. And it's specifically about Stevie Wonder, the world's greatest living ever singer, songwriter, musician. And anytime Stevie Wonder does something that most people believe that blind people can't or should not be able to do, it is always questioning, is Stevie Wonder actually blind?
Right.
And it is the most crass, invasive sort of shit. And it is an example of the ableist sort of things that disabled people deal with on a regular basis. And I totally understand looking at Jada and Will and we don't have class solidarity with Jada and Will, right? Like Jada and Will are straight and they've been gone for a long time. They left Philly and Baltimore long ago, right? But I think disabled people really resonated with this moment because it is so seldom that you see someone who is out about their condition or their disability. And I know people don't look at Jada as disabled, and that also is another conversation about visible and invisible disability as well. If people aren't using obvious disability mobility aids, for example, people aren't viewed as disabled, and that's another conversation about ableism as well. But I think it's important that that's how I see this moment. Like, and there's other layers to this privilege as well. If Jada and Will weren't married, if Jada was a single woman, if that had been Tiffany Haddish and an off-color joke landed about something immutable about her, you know, would anyone have stood up for her? You know what I mean? So yeah, there's definitely a lot to this, but I don't want to isolate or leave out rather the ableist component of this. You know what I mean? Because it's there. And I think this was an interesting moment to sort of bring that out. But obviously Will was riding to the defense of his wife, whose condition he's intimately familiar with. And I'm sure he was less than thrilled to see a part of it being ridiculed that to her pain. You know what I mean? This was the Oscars. Jada Pinkett Smith is an actress. These are her peers. Like anyway, I'm done.
Thanks for the super chat, Marcus Cage. Would he have slapped a white comedian?
That was my question.
Would a white comedian had made that joke?
Yes, no, I think so. I could see Billy Crystal making that joke. I could see Jay Leno saying that joke, and I could see Ricky Gervais saying that joke. And they would all say them in different ways, but I could see him saying that joke.
I don't know. I can see Billy Crystal maybe making that joke in 1988. I can't see him making it in 2020.
But that's why I thought his name. I know. Yeah, I could see it too, but that's why I was surprised that Chris rocked it. It felt very old in that way.
Oh my God. Right. I'm sorry.
Yes, it did. But I
don't know. Yeah, do you think? I mean, would he have slapped a white comedian? Whoa,
I didn't know this was a lollipop. That's so cool.
Yeah. Okay. If his reaction was as true and raw as it seemed, then yes. Then I think, because it seemed like he was just like on an impulse, was like, oh shit, I gotta get up and I gotta do this right now, and he wasn't even thinking about it. Right. So if that's the case, then yes. But
I guess I question, like, if I just feel like it might have been a different conversation if he slapped a white comedian, because then we're aftermath. I feel like then we're talking about a safety. Then we're talking about legalities. Like, I don't think anybody ever thought that Chris Rock, I think if you're a black person and you didn't think that Chris Rock was going to press any charges, and he better not have, you know, like, that's just kind of like, we got to keep this within the community. So like, you can't be doing that. So, but I think it would have just caused another level to it. And at this point that we're at in history, I wonder if white people would have either been like, well, we've got to let this black man have his emotions. We can't have gone through all these protests and then just be like, you know, but I don't think they would do that either.
I don't think so. It's hard to say though, because, you know, like I was saying earlier, like, you know, Will Smith is like their like great black hope. You know what I mean? Like, he's tall, he's light skinned, he's good looking, he can do this, he can do that. You know what I mean? Hero. So So I mean, what other black superheroes? There aren't that many. So it's like, it would have been really interesting to see how they would have treated him, specifically being a black guy slapping a white guy. I think he would have gotten quite a few more passes. I think they would have made some.
America might have broken though. Holy shit! Right. I don't know if we can handle that.
That might have been the last straw to cleave us off.
I'm sorry, haven't y'all seen these white women out here with pitchforks for Will Smith?
That's what would have broke it though. The white women would have been like, "Don't come after Will," and then the white men would have been like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like, you know, and that's where it would have. You have the white women and the white men, you know, fighting, and that's really weird. The Civil War.
Well, see, but that's why I think, again, I want us to look a little deeper now. This Will Smith is not known. I mean, he has slapped people before, apparently, but not for no reason, right? The video of him being groped, or this reporter tried to like grab his face and kiss him, and Will like mushed him or slapped him or whatever. Valid, okay? Anyone coming in and invading your space that way, I think you have absolute right to put hands on them. But I mean, this is not necessarily Will Smith's character. So I don't see, let's say a white comic whom he may not have had a personal relationship made that same kind of joke. I don't see him actually going up there and slapping that white comic. That's why I think this is deeper than one night. You know what I mean? This was not just random Will Smith versus Chris Rock. I think this has been brewing for some time. All three of these people have been in Hollywood really about the same amount of time, like 30 some years now. So I'm sure they have crisscrossed in circles, and some shit has got back to Will and Jada and they didn't forget that shit. You know what I'm saying? So when Chris Rock got up there and wanted to single out okay, well, Will, that was it.
But it is a good point. It's like the Kardashians though too. It's like, we make fun of them because they are everywhere. So it is that kind of like, you let people in with a certain amount, and obviously it's not like they deserve it or anything like that, but I think it is.
But I think the more people know it, like Sabby with, you know, like you're saying, Sabby, with the Red Table Talk, I guess it's true. The more people know about your life, the more material they have to draw from. I guess
they tell a lot of people about their business. I mean, like even the children, they talk about the kids' business too. And I'm like, now you're giving people permission to come after your kids, which I just think is just off limits. But my whole thing is, I don't think I don't think if it was a white person, I don't think Will Smith would have slapped him either. I think Will Smith knows very much well how to play the Hollywood game. He knows what to say, how much he can get away with and still remain popular. So I think he knows how to kind of toe that line a little bit. But for people who don't know, because some people are still saying it was fake, it wasn't real, it was staged. The Academy, I saw this like right before I went live. The Academy is actually putting him under review.
Right.
And they are reviewing to see if they're going to ask him to give his Oscar back.
Are they going to review Roman Polanski and Harvey Weinstein? Harvey Weinstein has lots of Oscars, lots of Academy Awards. I mean, the Academy is really one to talk. Really.
I don't think it has anything to do with your performance then.
Yeah.
They've already drawn that line.
Exactly.
Woody Allen, I mean, come on.
Will open hand slap somebody on stage. So what? He didn't rape a teenager. He's not a serial predator preying upon generations of actresses like many of these icons. I think, well, I mean, there was a tribute last night to William Hurt, if I'm not mistaken. William Hurt, who recently passed away, has lots of credible sexual assault accusations against them. So, you know, Academy, miss me with your faux morality. Like, don't grow a conscience now.
Right. Let's not bring that into the fold. That's not this issue.
I do want to mention this from Robert Escobar Show. Thanks for the super chat. If Will is such a great guy, why isn't he slapping people for Medicare for all instead of his wife? Well, he didn't slap his wife, just FYI. Those people don't care about anyone but themselves. And that's a good point. And this was something like CJ mentioned this earlier, that at the end of the day, I'm seeing people fight each other over Will Smith and Chris Rock. Will Smith and Chris Rock don't know you. Like they don't know your name. I don't see them doing anything for people in the Black community. Let's be real. So at the end of the day, they're going to be fine from this. They probably got themselves more like publicity after this situation from last night, but they're rich. They'll be fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris Rock is probably getting clowned as hell. Oh my God. All the comedians.
No, I don't.
Yeah, all the comics are probably, which
I
is
think,
funny.
Look, that man hardly flinched. I think skinny as Chris Rock is, he's getting a lot of street cred out of this. He stood his ground.
No, he stood there and got slapped.
He still got slapped, but
I mean,
okay, it's funny that this was the comment though, because this is also what we went on to talk about on our live stream, is that we used to work at Chateau Marmont down the street from the Oscars, where Jay-Z and Beyonce have their gold party. And we, as prior and former employees and the other former employees, were boycotting the event because they didn't hire people back. And when we were hired after the pandemic, and when we did work there, and we worked the last gold party, you know, when we did work there, they stole our tips. They, discriminated us against being women. There was racism that Tiffany Haddish experienced from like being sat, like when you're a celebrity, you get sat in the garden. If they don't know you and you're a Black person, you get sat somewhere else. So discrimination on many different levels going throughout the hotel. And, you know, we had reached, obviously not us personally, but the union that we worked with and everything had put out a lot of things about this boycott and asked Jay-Z to not have the gold party there, show some solidarity with your dollars, and Issa Rae and
Spike Lee, Jane Fonda,
Sarah Silverman,
Ta-Nehisi Coates, like all kinds of people. A lot of people decided to boycott that gold party is something like it's not only a party for Black people. Everybody goes to that party. We saw all kinds of people at that party. So like it's really like the thing to be at. And so sad that you have to miss it. But I mean,
but missing one party might help people get health care
exactly.
or raise their wages.
It was funny. Rome's tweet today was basically, Will Smith smacked Chris Rock, but you're still poor. And like, that should be the whole theme of the thing, because, all of these celebrities, our labor union put up a picket line. So these people had to cross a picket line to get into a party, and they still went. I mean, it's just, these people don't care about us at all. And they never use what's the point of building this big community and having all these people love you and adore you, and then not using it for something good, just using it for your own personal gain? It's so crazy to me.
But also they also have told us to vote for Joe Biden and support Democrats and things like that. So it's like, obviously we cannot be looking to them, but we do need to be pressuring them. Please look up, like Keisha was quoted in page 6 through the union, like just talking about how the working class is sick of of celebrities virtue signaling, and it's not like this is Jay-Z or Beyonce's fault. Like they tip, they're good, like they're nice to us and everything. But if you know that this discrimination is happening, the managers sometimes wouldn't even, not all the managers, but one manager wouldn't look at some of us in the eye. So I don't think what we say is going to make them think that we deserve to get a fair living wage. But maybe, you know, somebody like Jay-Z, who is a billionaire now, might actually be able to make some sort of a difference. So it's not about him being a bad guy, but it's about, you know, like these are the only few things that you have some leverage about. And so it really sucks that they truly do not care and would not use that event to, you know, help raise any awareness about it. So I hope they had a great time.
Thank you for this, a kid, for the super chat. Will Smith and Jada can't have it both ways. Make money off their family issues. They can't take a joke. Will only lead to copy caters.
Hey guys, here's the thing.
Copycatters, maybe.
Catters.
Keep joking people's health conditions, okay? Like keep making it a joke, keep making it funny. And now I think I'm not upset at this precedent at all. Like, because again, I think this is a deeper issue between personalities. I think this is a triangle of history of sorts that we probably won't be completely privy to until the end of life memoirs come out in about 25 years. And then we'll get the whole backstory behind it. But until then, I took this as, and a lot of people are viewing it this way. I mean, we are not accustomed to seeing Black women publicly defended in this way. Okay, that seldom happens. Usually, as we saw in the confirmation hearings with Ketanji Brown Jackson, when men or white folks decide to talk to you any old kind of way, or to crack on you, or to undermine your appearance or your intelligence or anything pertaining to your capabilities, then we are expected to just sit there and eat that no matter what. And I don't cape for Will and Jada. As I said, we are not in class solidarity with Will and Jada, but I can appreciate that individual moment of a man taking up for his wife who is dealing with a health condition and decided to slap the shit out of somebody who had a joke about a symptom about that health condition. Like that aspect of it is going to remain okay with me.
So Kim, do you think it's okay that he walked up on the stage and slapped him though? Or like you're okay with that?
I think that Chris Rock probably had fair warning. Like again, I don't look at this as an isolated thing. I look at this as the catalyst, like the very fiery end of what I believe to be a pretty long saga. You know what I'm saying? So I don't look at last night as a singular moment. I look at it as the end result of a bunch of moments that have led up to this. And I mean, listen, if I had a husband and somebody was making a joke about my disability, I would be fine with my husband going up there and slapping the shit out of him.
Thanks for the super chat, Robert Escobar Show. How many celebrities knew about Weinstein, though? How many remain silent? Are women in Hollywood still being abused? Aren't celebrities complicit? Yes, I think a lot of people knew about Harvey Weinstein.
Definitely had to.
Just like Louis C.K., just like on and on and on.
Yeah.
Right. It's I think it's kind of this thing where this is like they know not to speak about it.
People want to protect their bag. People want to protect their money. People want to protect their social network. So there's a lot of people will throw other people under the bus. I mean, I personally have had people like harass me, and then you say something and they're like, why are you trying to get this comedian canceled? And it's like, or maybe they shouldn't have harassed me. I mean, damn, like that, you know, people want to, and especially if you're a person who's making money, people want to protect that person because it's easier than making your own talent. Then I'm going to go over here and latch onto this person and be a part of their circle, part of their world. So that happens a lot. And you just get a lot of yes men. So yeah, there's a lot of people who know. And I agree with Kim though on this about the Chris Rock thing. I think it was a building up of, now I see what you're saying there. I feel like it was a culmination of several talks,
culmination,
events.
Girl. I'm a stoner. I couldn't come up with culmination for that. That's what I was trying to say.
I got you. Picked you up, girl.
Three stoners together. We'll all get
that word.
Right. I mean, I agree. I think there is something to it being just like cool that he stood up for his wife and definitely stood up for a Black woman. I mean, this thing just has so many layers to it. It's so interesting.
Because as a Black woman, you usually have to stand up for yourself, and that's very tiring. So I completely understand it from that issue, because it's like, oh, okay, I always have to be the angry person again, but I do feel like I have to defend myself. So yes, so having your man defend you, of course, is a nice thing. I guess I thought
the slap was okay.
It was a strong slap.
I feel like
it gave a message.
It gave a message, exactly. Like, I feel like, maybe it wasn't the most appropriate, I guess, but it's an award show. Like, people are out shaking their ass and stuff on stage 2 minutes ago. Like, I don't know. Like,
we got nothing else going on. The world is coming to shit. I want to see more of this. I want to see what people really feel. That's, so I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
I mean, people act like they took Chris Rock off the stage on a stretcher. I mean, simmer down. Simmer down. And again, like, there's a class component to this. There's a race. There's a gender. There's a lot of layers to this component to this. But to the person who said that comment about Harvey Weinstein, but didn't a lot of people know? Listen, let's not act as though men and women are an equal power dynamic footing here in Hollywood. Okay, like, women don't yield a lot of power, and the women who are powerful are that way because they act like men, right? And they take that however way you want it. But when it comes to the issue of women in Hollywood or in entertainment being preyed upon sexually, women are forced, basically, implied coercion to be quiet, like to not out powerful people who may be abusers or predators. Why do you think Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, why do you think all these people were allowed to get away with this shit for so long, completely unchecked? Because in part, I agree with it was about protecting the bag. But if you're a young actress or a young comedian and you're trying to get your foot in the door, and Louis C.K. or fucking Bill Cosby, wants to help you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are going to seize that opportunity. And when the assault or the inappropriate conduct happens, who the fuck are you going to tell? You know what I'm saying? So let's not act like women are bosses and are in complete control and autonomous over their bodies and even their own careers out there in Hollywood. There is a huge gender power dynamic happening in Hollywood. So please, miss me with that.
And one thing I want to add too is Will Smith does kind of have the privilege to do what he just did. And what I mean by that is his career isn't really going to be affected. We got to remember Jada and Will own their own production company. They make movies, they make TV shows. So it's not like he has to go out and audition. He can audition, but he doesn't have to. They have their own production company. You got to think about someone doing what Will did, and they really are kind of at the mercy of like these directors and these casting crew to try to get these positions. But he knew that when he walked up there and he slapped Chris Rock, he knew, okay, yeah, maybe the Academy may come take his Oscar away, whatever. But at the end of the day, he knew there wouldn't be repercussions for him. He knew that Chris Rock was not going to press charges. He knew that he would still be able to keep his career. And I want people to understand that that's the power dynamic that is really important here to remember as well. When you don't have to rely on other people to get these roles and you got it like that, that's why he knew that he could do that. Like, I personally am anti-slap. I mean, I would have handled that situation a lot differently, but I mean, that's me. I wouldn't have done that in front of a group of people. I'm the type of person that I'll sit there and I'll nod my head for a little bit, but when the event's over, then I'll pull you aside. But that's me. I don't know. Part of me felt like, did Will do this for show? Did he do this for attention? Like, some people think he did it for attention.
Like,
and
even
but then to make it awkward, then you had to go back up there and accept your award. So it's like,
I think the integral part of that phrase is, accept your award, though. You know what I mean? Like, he still got the award, and even if they take it away from him, he still won. I don't know.
Who is this Robert Nickel guy in the comments who seems to think that we're so intellectually wrong? If you have a comment, Robert, I would love to hear what you have to say. But right now, you can go fuck yourself, because I think that we're all giving a very textured, layered, a lot of context to what we're saying. So
it's probably just a troll.
Okay, well, what the hell? Like, damn, people are.
I'm not even in the damn chat. Should I be in
Don't
there?
worry about it. Anyway,
you handling business.
Thing. Here I am getting angry.
Oh boy.
I think you're right. I think that obviously he gained a level of being Will Smith to be able to even get to that point to doing that. And it's not like it was the MTV Awards or something like that. Like that would be a different conversation.
It would be more expected at the MTV Awards,
right? Yeah. We've never seen it at a level like the Oscars.
I
so
mean,
that's why
I would really hope though that at this level in his career, they wouldn't take away his award because of this.
Oh, they will.
Like,
I
yeah.
think they're gonna find a way. There's enough angry white people swerving way out of their lane to make sure that they take this award away from Will Smith. I see that coming.
I'll have to look up and see if they did this to someone before, because I'm not sure if they've done this before. But
so
I don't see them taking it away. I think that they might gosh, I mean, I can't believe if I were wrong on this one, I'd be really wrong. But I just feel like I think that there are probably people who want them to be seen as taking it seriously, or you know what I mean? Because I think there were a lot of people who were like, oh, he just got to walk back up on stage, or he just got to sit back down in his seat. So I think that there might be a level of that, like we better as a company or as an entity take this seriously, so we'll review it. But I mean, it would be hard to take it away from him with your Woody Allens and your Polanskis and you know what I mean? You'd have to really make that case.
I mean, yeah, you would have to make the case that, so we were watching, of course, our mom was watching The View earlier, and, you know, Sunny, of course, is always talking about things being assault. And I'm like, well, because she's a lawyer. And I don't know that I mean, that just, was that assault, or was that two guys who knew each other and had clearly should have squashed the beef elsewhere, but Will decided to handle it on TV. I mean, Chris Rock he already said he's not going to press charges. So
right. No
technically in that sense, it can't be assault, but I could see, the Academy saying, oh, well, this was assault, so we're going to take his thing away because of it.
So somebody hit me today. Shout out to Northern Witch. Northern Witch hit me to something, and I haven't been able to verify this myself yet, but I trust what Northern Witch had to say. But anyway, so apparently, and I can't tell you the year, but John Wayne had to be physically restrained from attacking a Native woman who was accepting an award on behalf of Marlon Brando, who was boycotting the Oscars that particular year. So this is not necessarily unprecedented, and I'm pretty sure John Wayne is probably in the Academy Award Hall of Fame as a legendary cultural icon for Hollywood. So yeah, again, like the Academy is not the place.
Yeah, that's very true.
They are not the moral arbiter of this. And there was an opinion piece today in the LA Times. And I don't even remember the writer's name, but she was bemoaning the fact that a man messed up the headlines for what was a stellar night for women last night at the Academy Awards. And it's like, and she called it like the worst Oscars worst night, or the ugliest night, the ugliest Oscars. And it's like, oh, when Hattie McDaniel had to sit in the back, like that wasn't the ugliest night. Of course, you didn't think that was the ugliest night, when Black actors for generations were completely snubbed outright from either participating or even being nominated for their award-winning caliber roles. Like, of course, that was never Oscar's ugliest night. It's when Black people behaved in a way that was disapproving to white folks. That made it Oscar's ugliest night. And the hypocrisy there, it cannot be overstated.
I have a confession to make. I didn't even see the movie that Will Smith won the Oscar for.
Nobody saw that movie. Nobody saw any of those movies.
Did you see it?
I'm trying to see it, King Richard. Now I'm interested.
Now you're trying to see
now
it.
We want to see it.
Was this a big plot?
I didn't see any of the movies that were up there. Not a one. I don't understand it.
No. Well, ladies, thanks so much.
Other one.
Thank you, Sabby.
Thanks so much for coming on. I'm gonna go. I kept you guys over time. I'm really bad with time.
It's all good. I didn't realize it.
No, this was fun.
Always good to talk to you, Kim.
Always. Thank you, baby sisters.
Love to hear your perspective.
Sabby.
Thanks so much,
Bye,
Sabby.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.
Have a good one.
All right, guys. I am back. I think I missed a couple of your super chats. Oh boy, I did. Sparty Matt, thanks so much for the super chat. The argument shouldn't be about which side, Ukraine or Russia. Instead, Should we be world? Should we be world police imperialists or not? My answer to that is no. Elite / military already won the argument. U.S. takes it for granted. We should get involved. Thanks so much for the super chat, Sparty Matt. Yeah, I don't believe in U.S. intervention in other countries. And thanks for the super chat, Colin. Jada is rich and able to deal with alopecia. The working class may not be able to. That's a good point to mention as well. Thanks so much for the super chat, The Traveler. Chris Rock saw Rochelle on the stage. Oh, boy. Oh, The Traveler. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks so much for the super chat, Tazy. Chris was talking about her shaved head. People forget about Chris' Good Hair documentary. He took the time to learn and educate people about the subject. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for the super chat, Colin. If they take away Will's Oscar, will Jada boycott the Oscars again? Oh, that's a good question, Colin. That's a good one. I forgot she did that one year. Thanks for the super chat, Cryptician. Why are we focusing on Will's defensive baby slap as a crime instead of Chris's crime of verbal assault, defamation, and harassment? That's the initial crime. JB's here. Most of those movies nominated aren't big blockbusters anyway. Most people saw Spider-Man, right? That's it. Shout out to John for the super chat. Since Jada has been cheating on Will, do you think Jada Pinkett Smith has sexually harassed anyone? Sadly, because she's hot, she'd get away scot-free. Thank you for that super chat. I have no idea. I think that this couple personal life has become very public over the past year or two. But they put that information out there for people. So I told you guys, you got to be careful what you tell the public. But yeah, so again, for those of you to just join, my take on that is Sabby is anti-slap. I think there's other ways to handle those situations. Again, I'm the type of person where I might sit there and just nod with a smile. And then after the event, then I'll pull you aside and say, let's have a conversation. That's the kind of person I am. Sure. Rockfin comments. I'm ready. And I got one more story after this one about Applebees. Boycott. Thanks so much for the tips on Rockfin, Roger. Sounds like Crystal is into some freaky stuff. Sab, don't you just love how on Saturday no one talked about ballot initiative for Medicare for all, shifting the tax burden from us to big wealthy, update and enforce antitrust, government takeover of broadband and power grid infrastructure and hospitals, elimination of QI. Briefly talked about minimum wage, public banks, right to repair, and getting money out of politics, but all zeroed in on the vices, weed, and mushrooms. Although I will say it has been the vices dominating the BI states, yet the one vice that is even more than that are the gambling BIs. I can't blame anyone with the way things are going. Maybe we should all get high and get money before the nuclear bomb drops. Thanks for this as well. This is the same media propaganda as done with the Iraq war. Difference here is we got social media, YouTube content creators to let us know what time it is too late. Madonna boycotted Sean long ago, before everyone else already. This is why you can never trust left-leaning entertainers when it comes to financing left-leaning movements. Sabby, you got to put this Peace Course link and this segment on your Twitter page. Oh, yes, I do need to link that. Whoopsies. Thanks for this as well. Ari Spears said Jada whispered in Will's ear and said Tupac wouldn't have let Chris get away with saying that. Remember the white guy famous in the late 90s, early 2000s who said Will Smith ain't got a curse in his songs to sell records? Well, I do, so F him and F you too. He even performed the song at the MTV Awards when he was performing it out in the audience in the aisle just a few seats away from Will. Yes, that was Eminem. Eminem said that. Thank you so much, Roger. Will Smith don't got a cuss in his songs to sell records. Why do? That's what he said. Thanks for the super chat, John. Are you sick of the anti-Trump rhetoric coming from award shows? I am. I hate Donald Trump, but I want to be entertained when I watch a movie or a reward show and not be lectured. Thanks so much for the super chat, John. Yeah, I don't really watch award shows anymore. I really don't. I find them to be long and drawn out. And it's always the same people performing, it seems like to me. Thanks so much for this as well, John. Since Jada has been cheating on Will, do you think Jada Pinkett... Oh, I said that already. Sorry. I forgot to remove that. Whoopsies. Okie doke. Now for my final story. This one actually should be rather quick. It's about Applebees. So Applebees had... let me just put up the article for you. I think did I disconnect here? I don't know what happened. Huh. Maybe I need to go back in. Oh, there it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Applebees, they did not have a good weekend. And it's not just so much Applebees, it's the company that represents Applebee's. So a lot of times with restaurants, there's one company and there's multiple restaurant chains that are underneath that one company. In this case, the name of the restaurant chain is, I think it was Diner. Where did it go? I forgot where it went. Anywho, let's get to the point. I'm going to slide to the back. Applebee's franchise email sparks viral backlash. Oh, you got to let those emails not get out. You need to keep those emails under wraps. So I'm going to go down. The director of operations for an Applebee's franchise in Kansas has been placed on leave after a leaked internal memo went viral. In the email, the executive suggests rising gas prices could allow employers to lower wages. What? Here we go. The email dated March 9th was posted to an r/anti-work forum on Reddit and then picked up on social media. Applebee's franchise Apple Central LLC executive director of operations Wayne Packretz wrote that rising gas prices could benefit employers because it will increase application flow and has the potential to lower our average wage. You guys hear this? Rising gas prices could benefit employers because it will increase application flow and has the potential to lower our average wage. Boy, they are so greedy. The name of this brand is Dine Brands, you guys. They're the ones that own Applebee's. Pancrax wrote that the most of the franchise operators' employee base lives paycheck to paycheck, and any increase in gas price cuts into their disposable income. As inflation continues to climb and gas prices continue to go up, that means more hours employees will need to work to maintain their current level of living. Because workers are no longer supported by the government stimulus, he argued, people will be forced to go back into the workforce. Competitors will be forced to cut employee hours or pay less to hit profit margins, and some businesses will not be able to hold on, driving more employees into the hiring pool. We all competed to hire out of the limited applicant pool, and there was a wage war. We all saw businesses hiring team members at $18 to $20 an hour. They will no longer be able to afford to do this. So you guys see what's happening here? This was a leaked email, by the way. We were not supposed to know about this conversation, but yet here we are. Gotta love social media. Anywho, basically what they are saying here, they are actually cheering on the fact that the gas prices have increased because that is going to be better for them. That's going to be better for management, not for the employees, but it'll be better for the franchise. Isn't this ridiculous? Let me go back in. They don't want to pay people anything. Besides hiring employees at a lower wage to decrease our labor when able, Pancrax also urges managers to keep their pulse on employee morale and to be conscious of their situation. Guys, this man is saying besides hiring employees in at a lower wage to decrease our labor when able. they were gonna try to, I don't think this is gonna happen now because it's been leaked, but their plan was to take advantage of the high gas prices and hire employees for lower wages. That's what they were planning to do. This is why I tell people, see, this is why capitalism does not work. Because there's always someone somewhere who is going to exploit the people at the bottom. This is the problem with capitalism. Oh, gas prices are high. Oh, people are going to be paying a lot. People are going to be desperate for work so that they can pay for gas. And obviously, if you're in Kansas, you probably need a car. I've never been to Kansas, but I can imagine you need a car. This is so corrupt. I'll go back in. Many will need to work more hours or get a second job. Do things to make sure you are the employer of choice. Get schedules completed early so they can plan their other jobs around yours. More importantly, have the culture and environment that will attract people. Pancrack's letter, however, took on a life of its own on social media, with some calling for a boycott. Applebee's parent company, Dine Brands Global Inc., based in Glendale, California, on Friday noted that the casual dining chain is almost entirely operated by franchisees. Here we go here. This is the opinion of an individual, not Applebee's. They always say that, right? This person's statement do not represent the company. We understand that the franchise who owns and operates the restaurants in this market have placed the individual on leave. Our team members are the lifeblood of our restaurants, and our franchise are always looking to reward and incentivize team members, new and current, to remain within the Applebee's family. Yeah. Let's talk about something really quick. First of all, Applebee's food sucks. Let's just be real. It tastes like microwave food. It's cheap, but the food sucks. I'm just going to be honest with you. Just keeping it real. So, whoopsie, I put something there. The food is terrible. But now I have another piece of this that I want to show you, because the CEO actually spoke out, which I imagine he want to after this email was leaked. But the fact that they were sitting here and they wanted to take advantage of the fact that they knew that the workers would be desperate. It's so dirty. It really makes me so angry. This is just one leaked email. What about all the other emails that we have not heard about? How many other companies or people at other companies are using the same kind of logic? Yeah, let's just burn them out. Let's just screw them over more. We can save money. And for some of you at certain companies, there may not have been an email per se, but there could have been a discussion in person where people have decided, well, we've had 10 people quit. Let's not fill those positions and let's just dump the work on the people who are still here and save us money. Because I've seen that happen for the past 2 years, actually. In a capitalist system, there is always someone who will be exploited. So when people tell you we can just put guardrails on capitalism, how? That's not how capitalism works. You have to have people at the bottom. The people at the top are the ones who reap the most benefits. I'm going to go ahead and pull up that video. Did I put that on there for you, Eric? Or did I not? Oh, I did. So this is the video from the CEO. So, like I said, he had to speak out. He had to come forward because he's like, wait a minute. I need to speak for Dine Brands. People need to know this man's words are not our own. So listen to this. The CEO of Dine Brands, which owns Applebee's, took home an estimated $6.7 million in 2021. The company increased weekly sales 12.6% from 2019 and reported $19.8 million in net income last quarter. The CEO also told CNBC it's looking to replace workers with robots. Again, before I play this video, I want to let you know the CEO of Dine Brands, which owns Applebees, took home an estimated $6.7 million in 2021. This is one of the CEOs. This is what I was trying to tell people a while back. Some of the CEOs doubled their wealth during the pandemic. Listen to the video. I want you to hear what he has to say. This should concern every one of you watching this.
And so nationwide across both IHOP and Applebee's, we're at about 85% of being fully staffed. And that's unchanged from the prior quarter. Most of those hours tend to be the late night hours for both IHOP and for Applebee's. And so we're doing two things. We're being very realistic about the short term and investing in recruiting and, most importantly, retention. But at the same time, we're beginning to ask ourselves, is this the new normal? And are these levels of labor and the difficulty in attracting team members to our restaurants and restaurants in the industry, is that what's going to look like for the next couple of years? So, we're beginning to invest in and study things like robotics and AI and other operational efficiencies so that we can plan for the future as well as what we're focused on right now.
Did everyone just hear what he just said? This is what I was trying to tell you about how they're trying to replace the workers. Here we go again.
And other operational efficiencies so that we can plan for the future as well as what we're focused on right now.
That's it.
Look like the next labor and the difficulty in attracting team members to our restaurants and restaurants in the industry, is that what's going to look like for the next couple of years? So, we're beginning to invest in and study things like robotics and AI and other operational efficiencies so that we can plan for the future as well as what we're focused on right now.
Here's the problem. I'll get the super chat. Thanks so much, Eric. Thank you so much for the super chat. The Traveler. There's someone on TT known as Alex Serves, and she has a series called Exposed Chili's Senior. And she said the cooks there make $20 an hour, but during the pandemic cut their pay to $7.25 an hour and fired old cooks and opened ghost kitchens. Wow. Thank you so much for that super chat, The Traveler. I'm not sure what is TT. I don't know what that means. I don't know. But if you can tell me what TT is, I'll definitely check that out. But thanks so much for the super chat. Did you hear what he just said? He just let you know that they were having difficulty attracting workers. So if they're having difficulty attracting workers, instead of dealing with the core issue, which is the fact that they don't pay these employees at Applebee's a respectable, decent living wage, he is going to try to replace them with robotics. That is what they're already looking into. Let's see if she pushes back on that. Let's hear what she has to say.
That's a really interesting point that you make right there, John. And it raises the question, what do you think is causing the labor shortage right now? What do you think your biggest competition is for those workers in this economy?
Yeah, Maureen, that's the $1 million question, right? Is because we assumed that perhaps when the federal stimulus ended, that workers would come back. That hasn't happened. And so that's why we're beginning to think this might be a long-term phenomenon. And what I tend to think has happened is that during COVID, when people were furloughed or had more time on their hands, they rethought their careers. Some of them have gone to Amazon warehouses. Truck drivers who were 55 or 60 years old have decided to retire. The Gap or other retailers have raised their wages. So it's become incredibly competitive as people have rethought their careers. And that's why we want to make sure that we're not caught flat-footed and we're thinking about the long-term implications of what we're seeing. And so
ladies and gentlemen, notice she didn't mention anything about a living wage. She went on to ask him, well, why do you think we're having this labor shortage? He went on to say, that's the $1 million question. It's not a $1 million question. Those of us who have actually been out in the workforce and are not CEOs, we know exactly why you were having difficulty attracting workers. Let's be honest here. $1 million question. No, no, no. The problem is you're asking the wrong people. When you look at these shows, CNBC, Fox Business, they're bringing on CEOs and asking them about the labor workforce instead of asking working class people. You don't see them bring those people on. You know why? Because those people are going to tell the truth. Why, yes, John. Well, the problem is you guys don't pay shit. With what you pay, I can barely pay my rent. Now gas has increased. I can barely pay for gas. We need a living wage in this country. Oh, by the way, my employer doesn't offer health insurance. So every time I go to the doctor, I have to pay out of pocket. Not to mention how much I may have to pay for daycare. So yeah, the reason why I'm not taking these job offers, I'm not going back into these businesses is because they are not paying a living wage. They never bring those people on. They bring on the CEO of Dine Restaurants. They bring him on. They bring on the CEO of Amazon. They bring on the CEO of Starbucks. You need to bring on the working class people and ask them. They're the ones who are not taking those jobs. They don't bring them on because they don't want to hear the truth. Period. It's a problem. It's a problem. So for people who don't understand, that have never worked in the restaurant industry, I worked in the restaurant industry when I was in college. It's hard work. And if you're a waitress, you're just barely pretty much relying on your tips. So I was making $2.13 an hour, but you never actually see that paycheck because it's usually void because of what you get for your tips. Then you have other positions in the restaurant as well. Those people weren't making much money. And then they're surprised. They just seem to be surprised by this. This is not something that started during the pandemic. I waited tables years ago. Years ago. So this is not a new thing per se. And that's the thing that just drives me crazy. It's just really mind-boggling to me because, again, they are talking to the wrong people, but they're doing that on purpose. Guys, did you know it's $1 million question as to why these employees don't want to go back to these horrible jobs where they're paid such a low wage? Do you guys know the answer? I'm going to go to some of the comments in the chat. Kim Harden said your employer doesn't have to give you benefits, but you must buy your health care. Thanks, Obama, for nothing. It's the truth. Blue Moon Red Wine said, I turned down a job last week because no gas and no health insurance, and they don't even let you work remote for an office job. See? These are the people you need to hear from. JB's in the chat. Because the viewers of CNBC and Fox Business largely don't care about workers. The shareholders watch these networks. They cater to their wealthy audience. There you go. I'll take those comments on Rockfin, Eric. Thanks for the tip on Rockfin, Roger. This is the most backwards horseshoe plan from Applebees. Hey, Applebees, quick question. How the sixth letter of the alphabet do you expect workers to get to work with high-ass gas prices and lower wages? Sorry, I can't make it into work. No gas money. Remember when millennials got blamed for ending Applebees because they have been going back to preparing food at home? Yeah, this should help. Worker co-ops. Thank you so much for that, Roger. It's just all interesting, you guys. Very interesting. Oh, Leroy, I missed this from you earlier. I said it before and I'll say it again. Fuck both of those rich fuckers who are doing nothing for the black community. 100%. Yeah, that's why I'm just like, dude, they'll be fine at the end of the day. At the end of the day, Will Smith and Chris Rock will be fine. Colin said Will only cared about doing damage control after how he was being clowned due to his marriage. Yikes, 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 yikes. All right, guys, I'm a little past time. I'm about to head out. I do want to say thank Thank you so much for riding with me, guys. I don't know if you've noticed, but I noticed it today. I have officially crossed 12,000 subscribers. Guys, thank you so much. I really do appreciate the support. I honestly didn't think I would make it to 10, but apparently I've made it to 12,000 subs already. So I'm on the move. Thank you for your support, you guys. I'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know how I do what I do. So I will be back here. So other than that, guys, have a good night. Keep up the fight.